What if I told you that a tiny piece of plastic smaller than your thumb is quietly replacing your memory, your notepad, and even your assistant? Right now, millions of people are clipping a small device onto their shirt every single morning without saying a word about it. By the end of this video, you will understand exactly why this device has become one of the fastest growing pieces of technology in the entire world. And trust me, once you see what it actually does, you will never look at a simple meeting the same way again. Before we go further, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, because this channel breaks down the AI trends that are actually changing daily life, not just hype. I promise you, the next few minutes will completely change how you think about productivity and memory. Stay with me until the end, because the last part of this video reveals something most people have no idea is coming. Let's get straight into it. The device I am talking about is called an AI pin, and one of the most popular versions right now is the Plaud NotePin. It looks like a small, sleek capsule that you can clip onto your shirt, wear around your neck, or slide into your pocket. Unlike a regular voice recorder, this thing does not just capture sound and leave you to deal with it later. It listens, transcribes, organizes, and even summarizes everything into clean, structured notes almost instantly. Imagine sitting in a 2-hour meeting where 5 different people are talking over each other about 5 different topics. Normally, you would walk out with a messy notebook full of half-finished sentences and arrows pointing everywhere. With an AI pin clipped to your shirt, you walk out with a perfectly formatted summary, complete with action items already highlighted. Over 1.5 million people are already using devices like this, and that number keeps climbing every single month. What makes this different from just using your phone to record audio is the intelligence layer sitting behind it. These pins use advanced language models to understand context, tone, and even who is speaking at any given moment. So instead of one giant wall of text, you get a document that separates speakers, tags important decisions, and pulls out the key takeaways automatically. It is less like a recorder and more like having a silent assistant sitting in every single room with you. Let's actually break down how this works step by step, because the process is more clever than most people realize. The moment you press the small button on the pin, it starts capturing raw audio using a tiny built-in microphone array. That audio is then either processed directly on the chip inside the device or sent securely to the cloud depending on the model. Within seconds or minutes, the raw sound is transformed into a readable document sitting quietly in an app on your phone. Think about students sitting through long lectures where professors talk fast and jump between topics without warning. A pin like this can capture the entire lecture, then hand back a clean summary before the student even leaves the classroom. Doctors are using similar devices during patient visits, so they can actually look their patients in the eye instead of staring at a screen typing notes. Journalists, lawyers, and sales teams are adopting these devices for the exact same reason, because attention is the most valuable resource any of us have. Sales teams, in particular, have found a use case that almost nobody talks about enough. A salesperson wearing one of these pins during a client call can walk away with a transcript that gets fed straight into their customer relationship software. No more forgetting a small detail the client mentioned about their budget or timeline 3 weeks later. The pin becomes a silent partner that remembers every single word, so the human can focus entirely on building trust instead of note-taking. Now here is where it gets even more interesting, because these devices are part of a bigger shift happening in artificial intelligence. Companies are moving processing directly onto the device itself instead of relying entirely on the cloud. This is often called local or on-device processing, and it matters for 2 big reasons. First, it makes the device faster, since it does not always need an internet connection to think. Second, it keeps your private conversations more secure, since sensitive audio does not have to travel across the internet every time you speak. This on-device approach also means the battery lasts much longer, because it is not constantly streaming data back and forth. Some newer chips are specifically designed with something called an NPU, or Neural Processing Unit, built just for this kind of task. That single piece of hardware is quietly becoming the most important part of every AI wearable release this year. Let's talk about the competition for a moment, because Plaud is far from the only player in this growing space. There are AI jewelry pieces that look like simple pendants or bracelets, but quietly track your mood and journal your day. There are handheld devices like the Rabbit R1 that function more like a tiny standalone assistant rather than a clip-on wearable. Even fitness brands like Garmin have started layering AI features into their smartwatches to compete for the exact same attention. This growing competition is actually great news for anyone thinking about buying one of these devices. When more companies fight for the same market, prices tend to drop and features tend to improve at a much faster pace. We have already seen battery life double in some newer models compared to devices released just a year ago. Expect this pace of improvement to continue, especially as more people demand devices that just work without constant charging. Of course, no piece of technology is perfect, and these AI pins come with real trade-offs you need to know about. Many of them look cheap up front, but the real cost hides inside a monthly subscription needed to unlock the full AI features. Without that subscription, some of these devices become nothing more than a basic recorder with very limited functionality. So before buying one, it is worth asking yourself honestly whether the ongoing cost actually matches how much value you will get from it. There is also the obvious privacy conversation that nobody can ignore. A device that is always listening around you raises serious questions about consent, especially when other people in the room have no idea it is recording. The better brands have started adding physical mute switches and visible indicator lights so people know exactly when the device is active. Still, as this category grows, expect governments and workplaces to introduce clearer rules about when and where these pins can actually be used. Some companies have already started banning these devices in certain meeting rooms until clear consent policies are put in place. Legal teams are especially cautious, since a recorded conversation can sometimes become evidence in ways people never intended. This is not meant to scare you away from the technology, but rather to make you a smarter and more responsible user of it. Understanding these boundaries now will save you from awkward conversations later, especially in professional settings. What is fascinating is how this fits into the larger direction the entire tech industry is heading right now. For years, we were told that AI would live inside a big chatbot window on our screen and nothing more. Instead, AI is quietly leaving the screen entirely and attaching itself directly to our physical lives through small, wearable hardware. Rings that track your health, glasses that show you real-time information, and pins that remember your conversations are all part of the exact same movement. This shift is not really about the gadgets themselves. It is about reducing what experts call cognitive load. Cognitive load is basically the mental effort your brain spends just trying to remember, organize, and process everyday information. When a small device silently handles that job for you in the background, your brain becomes free to focus on the actual conversation happening in front of you. That is the real promise behind this entire category, and it is exactly why adoption keeps accelerating so quickly. Researchers studying attention and memory have found something surprising about people who consistently use these tools. Many report feeling less anxious during meetings simply because they are no longer worried about forgetting an important detail. That small mental relief adds up over weeks and months into noticeably lower stress during the workday. It turns out that offloading memory to a device does not just save time. It genuinely changes how people feel. So here is a fair question you should be asking yourself right now. Do you actually need a separate physical device for this, or could your phone already handle most of the same job? For some people, a phone app is genuinely good enough, and a new gadget would just sit in a drawer collecting dust. But for people who sit through constant meetings, lectures, or client calls, a dedicated AI pin can genuinely save hours of mental effort every single week. If you are still on the fence, think about the specific moments in your own week where you have missed something important. Maybe it was a deadline mentioned quickly in passing during a meeting that you completely forgot about. Maybe it was a lecture point that flew by too fast to write down before the professor moved on. Those small gaps are exactly what this category of device is designed to close, one recorded conversation at a time. Before we wrap up, I want you to think about something a little bigger than just this one device. We are watching artificial intelligence move from something we type into to something we simply wear and forget about. In just a few years, carrying no recording device at all might start to feel as strange as leaving your phone at home today. That shift is already happening quietly, one small clip on cheap plastic at a time. Look at how fast the wearable category has grown, even just over the past 12 months alone. What started as a niche product for tech enthusiasts is now showing up on the shirts of teachers, nurses, and everyday office workers. Analysts tracking this space expect the number of users to multiply several times over within the next few years. If that pace continues, wearing some form of AI hardware could soon become as normal as carrying a phone in your pocket. If this video helped you understand where this technology is actually heading, do not scroll away just yet. Tap that subscribe button right now because we are covering the next wave of AI hardware in upcoming videos, and you do not want to miss it. Drop a comment below telling me whether you would actually wear a device like this every day. I will see you in the next one.